Sparkles before storyline, YouTube intro, Sparkles. Friends, this is a story that will make you question what true love really means. A millionaire pretends to be paralyzed just to test his girlfriend's loyalty, but what happens next will leave you speechless. Watch till the very end, because the twist in this story will touch your heart deeply. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more such emotional stories. It all began with Ethan Gray, a 35-year-old billionaire known for his sharp mind, designer suits, and a heart that had been broken one too many times. Despite having everything money could buy, mansions, cars, a private jet, he often found himself staring out the window of his luxury penthouse, wondering if anyone would ever love him for him, not for his bank balance. His last few relationships had ended the same way, women who smiled sweetly, said the right words, but disappeared the moment the luxury faded. But when Vanessa came into his life, a glamorous, social media famous model, Ethan thought maybe this time was different. She was beautiful, confident, and seemed to genuinely care for him. She told him, "Ethan, even if you lost everything, I'd still stay." Those words stuck in his mind, but he'd heard them before from others who ran at the first sign of trouble. And so, one night, as he sat by the fire, he made a reckless decision. He decided to test her. He called his lawyer and doctor friend to set up the perfect act. Ethan would pretend to have been in an accident that left him paralyzed from the waist down. He'd see whether Vanessa truly loved him or just his wealth and lifestyle. The plan was cruel, but he told himself it was necessary. He'd rather know the truth now than live in another illusion. When the accident happened, Vanessa rushed to the hospital in tears. But within days of realizing he could no longer walk, her warmth started to fade. She visited less often. She complained about how hard it was. She said she couldn't handle the stress, that it was too much. Within 2 weeks, she stopped showing up altogether. Ethan watched her walk away from his life just like all the others before her, leaving behind the cold echo of her last words, "I can't do this. I'm sorry." For the first time, the mansion felt painfully empty. The silence was heavier than his wheelchair. That's when Mia entered his world. She was a new maid, barely 26, hired to help with his daily care and household tasks. Unlike Vanessa, she didn't wear fancy makeup or designer clothes. She wore a simple uniform, her brown hair tied neatly back, her smile soft but genuine. She spoke respectfully, but without fear. And she didn't look at him with pity, only kindness. At first, Ethan barely noticed her. He was bitter, drowning in his loneliness. But Mia's quiet presence began to shift the air around him. Every morning, she greeted him cheerfully, opened the curtains wide to let in sunlight, and talked to him about ordinary things, the smell of fresh coffee, the birds nesting on the window ledge, the warmth of the afternoon light. One day, she said gently, "Sir, maybe you should go outside. You look like someone who used to love the world but forgot how to live in it." He laughed, bitterly. Hard to love the world when you're trapped in a chair. She met his gaze without hesitation. "Maybe you're not trapped by the chair, sir. Maybe you're trapped by your own fears." That sentence pierced through him like a blade of truth. Days turned into weeks, and Ethan found himself opening up to her, sharing stories he hadn't told anyone in years. About his childhood, his fears, and his loneliness behind all that wealth. Mia listened without judgment. She cooked for him, read books aloud in the garden, and even helped him laugh again. And slowly, something began to change. Ethan started feeling something he hadn't felt in a long time, peace. And maybe, something even deeper than that. But guilt began to gnaw at him. She was caring for him out of kindness, while he was living a lie. He wanted to tell her the truth, but every time he tried, her innocent eyes stopped him. He was afraid she'd hate him, that she'd think he was just another arrogant man playing with people's feelings. One evening, as golden light filled the living room, Mia looked at him and said, "You know, sir, I think you're much stronger than you believe." You don't let your pain define you. That's rare. Ethan's voice broke. What if I told you this pain isn't what you think it is? She frowned softly, confused. What do you mean? He took a deep breath. Mia. I'm not paralyzed. The world went silent. Mia froze, her eyes widening in disbelief. I pretended. To test someone I thought loved me, Ethan confessed, shame filling his voice. And I kept pretending because I didn't know how to stop. You made me see what real care feels like, and now I don't deserve your kindness. For a long time, she didn't speak. The clock ticked, the evening light dimmed, and he waited for her anger, her disappointment. Finally, she whispered, so all this time, you could walk. He nodded, tears in his eyes. Yes. Her voice trembled, you made me believe in your pain, and yet, I can't even hate you for it. Because somewhere in your lie, you found the truth you were searching for. She turned away, wiping her tears. I'll finish my work, sir. And then I'll go. That night, Ethan realized he'd done something unforgivable. He hadn't just lied, he'd broken the trust of the one person who saw his heart without judgment. Days passed. The mansion was silent again, but this time, it wasn't empty because of loneliness, it was empty because she wasn't there. Finally, he did something he'd never done before, he left his wealth behind and went searching for her. He found Mia working at a small bakery in the city, her hands dusted with flour, her smile tired but warm. He stood there quietly, waiting until she noticed him. I didn't come to ask for forgiveness, he said softly. I came to thank you. You taught me what love looks like when it has no price tag. I don't expect another chance, but I'll spend the rest of my life being the man you saw inside me. Mia looked at him, her eyes glistening. You know, Ethan, she said gently, maybe life doesn't test us to expose our weaknesses. Maybe it tests us to reveal who we truly are. And I think, you've finally found yours. He smiled, not the smile of a rich man, but of a man reborn. Months later, people in the city began to whisper about how the once proud millionaire had sold his mansion and opened a community center for people with disabilities, the same people he once pretended to be among. And working beside him, every morning, with the same warm smile, was Mia. They never needed fancy words or big promises again. Because real love had already passed the only test that mattered, the test of truth. If this story touched your heart, friends, don't forget to like, share, and comment below. What would you have done in Ethan's place? Would you test love, or trust it? Subscribe for more emotional stories that remind us, true love isn't found in perfection, but in forgiveness and truth.